Welcome back, everybody. I'm here with some more Digimon ReArise. And today I got an Ultimate Digimon guide. It's gonna be like Ultimate Digimon slash Free Digimon. There's kind of some Digimons I want to talk about. First of all, any free Digimon for an event like the Agumon from Agumon, or this Ultimates, never ever use stones, even if it's a small stone. Just wait. You will summon for all the copies eventually, especially when they give free tickets and stuff. So never use even a small stone. That could potentially be a level, even though it's a small chance for like a stronger mega. Just throwing that out there, just in case anybody ever tries to do that. And yeah, I'm not gonna talk about some of these Digimons, just because the video will be way too long. I already kind of attempted doing that, and I took like a long time just doing I guess one typing. So I'm just gonna go straight through the ones I believe it's worth it. If it's not on the list, it's probably not worth it because, um, let's say like this Hyandramon right here or this Andromon, if another Digimon plays a better role in what it does, I'm not even gonna include that. It's worth it to add it in. There would be a pattern in the Digimons I choose that I believe that are worth it to keep, just in case. Of course, as your account becomes older, you become a veteran player, you have more megas in your disposal. Some of these ultimates might be obsolete, just because like you might have better options, but because these are ultimates, they could also work for Underworld. Try out different things, and it's what I believe might be better. Definitely though, for free event Digimon, you gotta make sure you get them. Like the event Agumon with the goggles. Right now there's the SDQ with the cat. You never know when these Digimons could, even though they're free, even though they're not megas or ultras, they could potentially have like a meta shifting, like, or affect the meta in some way. I know this Digimon's gonna be it goes along because it's free. It's not an ultimate Digimon. This Machine Dramon. When it came out, it was really good. It lowered your opponent's block rate by 40%, which was very huge at the time. Block rate was a very big thing. There's not many Digimons that like ignore block rate. So lowering your opponent's block rate, this was two gold plugins right there. So that was pretty good. And it gave you a chance, and because you got all the stones, it did fairly enough damage. So he was a very good Digimon when he came out. Him combined with Alphamon, man, like that was scary back then. Just a little bit, but you never know when they could be defining. I'm gonna scroll down. For example, like Lopmon and this Terriermon, when they came out, they were like super good, and they're still very good now. So never sleep on free Digimon. Very few are gonna like suck. Um, Maybe some you're never even gonna use, like this Vitramon. But still farm them. I would still suggest. But yeah, with that being said, let's get started into the ultimates that we could summon. The first one's gonna be Aerial Vidramon. He's excellent for Clash Battle. Not all these Digimons are gonna be good for PvP. Most won't be good for PvP because ultimately you're gonna need megas and like stronger, tankier Digimon. But these can play a role that might help you a little bit. For example, this one, Clash Battle, is excellent. Lowers your opponent's defense by 40. If you max it out, it also increases its own power, so it'll do a decent amount of damage. So it's a good Digimon just to have on hand. Even I still have it, even though like I have like better Digimons. And my team composition doesn't include him no more. But at the time I still maxed him out, and I still have him laying around there. Um, but definitely lowers your opponent's defense during Clash Battle, increases his own power, gives him a little bit like low tier mega level. So I think he's a good Digimon to keep. The next one, what I believe, again before I keep going, what I believe it's worth it for an ultimate Digimon. They either gotta have like a main or sub skill that's like really gonna enhance something like that you're trying to do, or a passive that's gonna like give you the little edge or push for something you're trying to accomplish. For example, this one, the the Egg Digimon. He increases the defense of all Brave allies by 20%. So let's say you use this during Brave Week. It would be so good because, not so good, but it would be good because you're getting the 30% boost. So it increases his survivability, On top of that, it's giving all your Brave allies 20%. So if you use like a full Brave team or mostly Brave team, you have 50% defense increase basically during Brave week. So that's why this could be potentially good, especially if you're starting off player, and have a few like Brave Digimons, or I don't know. It all this is circumstantial based on like what your box is, how old, how long have you been playing. But it attacks 4 enemies. It increases your power of all your allies, which is pretty good. Not a big deal. 30% is pretty healthy. It's pretty good. If it was less, like it would kind of suck. But 30% is pretty good. But because it attacks 4 targets, it also could remove evades. So there's that to consider. Also, it's main skill, but you don't want to do that. However, it does have that 45% of sleep, and if your opponent doesn't have status protection, which right now not a lot of people are having status protection for their calm Digimon, which are the ones that have evade, you could put them asleep and just increase your defense of your Brave allies. But you know, there's that. The next one is the Skull Maramon. His is increasing your power by 20%. This is where you're going to start seeing a pattern. Stuff that in their passives have increased in defense or increase in power. To me, they have excellent value because you don't have to activate a skill to gain a boost. So right off the bat, this gives you 20%. Let's say you summon for Crusadermon. You don't have to wait to give a power boost in your main or sub skill. You could go ahead and use a main skill. And like, let's say you don't have enough stones because you're new. It could potentially help you like do that little extra damage you needed. Not only that, again, if this is a Brave week, you add this in your Brave team, 20% plus the 30%. Now you have 50% passive like increased power. That's not including like, let's say you have Omegamon or you have something that increases power. Now it's 50% passive, like right at the beginning of the duel battle. Added on top of whatever you may boost. But 50% off the bat, your first attack, that's really strong in my opinion. It also has a 45% chance to burn, which can help against those counters and can help against those evades. These Digimons aren't going to like majorly like ensure your win, but they do add that little edge that you may be lacking, or like let's say you don't have all the best megas there is. It could push for the potential win. That's how I feel about these. So this guy could be used in PvP too, just because of that. And the egg too potentially could be used for that, or they could be used for Underworld. You never know if that could work for you. If you're gonna use these for Underworld, any of these, definitely you need to max out their like skill level. Hopefully you summon for them and get them, just because you're gonna want to be able to reload your abilities as much as you can. This one, it's the Blue Greymon, the Blue Metal Greymon. He's excellent. Was very good back then. This one could be both used for Clash Battle and PvP. I know I say 60% here, but when you max out its levels, it's 80%, and that 80% could do a lot of damage. Clash Battle and PvP. It can help you push to do damage. Its passive is not so good. This Digimon's only really good for that. It attacks everything, so it could help clear evades too. But it probably is not the move you're gonna want to do. You're probably gonna want to use its sub skill, and then use your strongest moves after that. Because if your opponent has stronger Digimon than you, you're gonna want to be able to KO faster. So this can push for that. This definitely could give you the extra push. In my newer account, I was using what's his name, that called Wisemon, which later I will talk about in this video. And that's really good for for the comp teams, and it helped me push for the win, so I like him. The next one that was done with the Braves. The next one is a calm one, which again, same thing. Increases defense of calm allies by 20%. It gives a 40% shock to all enemies, which is really good. I'm not saying like if you start off the battle and you end up shocking all your opponents because they don't have status protection, that's pretty good. But yeah, single target, it's not that big a deal, but mostly for its passives. Most of these Digimons, if it's not something like War Greymon, this one, or Metal Greymon, that does this on its passive sub skill. It's mostly these Digimons are good because of their passives. Again, like if you don't have to waste a turn to get a boost, that's excellent in my book. Um, but yeah, and let's go to the next one. Myotismon. Back then, when All Force came out, he it was pretty good because people used this one to increase your tech, and then like All Force, and I think Minervamon lowers your opponent's defense, and it just All Force nuked. That was scary then. Like that's when All Force was at this prime. Right now, it's not as scary. It's just annoying to see them, but that's why you just might want it for that increased tech. It could push for a little damage. Pandemon, just because he's cute. He doesn't really. You don't really need to get him. I did. I maxed him out to level 10. I just kind of wanted to point out that I kept Pandemon. He's pretty fast with his plugins. Not a big deal, honestly. There are faster Digimon, but I just kind of wanted to show Pandemon because he's kind of cute. And when he's in your little, what is it called, the Digitown, he's like super tiny and he runs like a little ninja. But for reals, now next time Wisemon, I think Wisemon is one of the best ultimates you can have, especially since it's calm meta. Make sure you level it up. Summon for your calm Digimon, increase their tech by 60 up to 80%. Not only that, it increases your calm allies by 20%, the crit. That's pretty good. Combine that all together, that's a force to be reckoned with. And he could give you that extra push to win. Again, these Digimons aren't meant to like give you the 28-point win because ultimates, they don't survive so well against Megas, but they can push your Digimons to the next step to either survive by the 20% boost in defense or increase in power. So that's how I feel about it. This is a lot of people's favorite, Grande Ramon. It increases your Deft Allies defense by 20%. It's pretty good. Attacks 4 enemies, burn. Attacks 4 enemies, so it could clear our statuses. Maybe for a beginner, this would be pretty good. The next one, Grande Ramon, kind of plays the same role as Aerial Vidramon. It's just there to do damage. Attack single target. Can inflict poison, and poison's very good for clash battle, surprisingly, especially since it's a high chance. I've been using Saber Leomon against the new, what is it called? Imperial Dramon Paladin mode, and the poison chips away a little bit of damage, and it's pretty good, especially if you guys are lacking the damage. That poison could be really good. Increases on crit, so hopefully you crit and do damage. But it's just meant for clash battle. This one's strictly clash battle, and it's an option there if you want to try to poison. But if you have better megas, they might do better damage. So there's that. The next one is Lady Devimon. It increases your Deft Allies tech by 20%. Not only that, it attacks all enemies, gives blind, which is pretty good if they don't have Blackboard Greymon. And this one attacks to blind. But if blind hits, hopefully it's more annoying when you get blind because you miss and your opponent doesn't miss. So there's that. But yeah, I think it's a good Digimon if you want to push for that 20% tech damage. Let's say you have Gaiomon. Let's say you have Lilithmon, but you don't have the bunnies. This can help you push for that extra damage and hopefully crit and KO. The next one is Lilithmon. This one is better than Blackboard Greymon for in PvP, in my opinion, only because it's deft, so it can increase your speed. It gives you a little bit of defense, not a big deal. But also for deft allies, it nullifies skill lock, which is pretty good. It might come in handy when you're doing the Underworld Abyss, not the dungeon, but Abyss, for example. There's that to consider. But again, 80% damage. It's def, so if you give it speed plugins on its special slot, it could potentially make your team faster. So you can activate first, then they'll attack, and then hopefully you do damage enough to get the first kill, So this one's better for Clash Battle. For PvP. Metal Greymon, this one is better for Clash Battle. So that's how I feel about it. Let's see, the next one is Myotismon. I've seen that this is a favorite of people. They combine all the Def Digimons, and I feel like that's the all free to play version that's the most friendly because they crit and then defense, attack. But I don't know. I wouldn't level him up. I haven't kept them, but I've seen some people do it. I think he has plugins, so maybe that's why. But I wouldn't recommend him. I'm just putting him there because it's a common trend that I see. So maybe some people who use him have seen something that I haven't seen. But he does increase crit, so that could help, I guess. The next one is Metal Seadramon. Again, I think Wisemon is better than him, but I still kept him. He nullifies freezing, not a big deal, but the tech increase can help. And for PvP, I guess since he's deft, again, if you want to put deft plugins on the special slot, it can probably make it a lot faster. So that's an option for that if that's what you're going for. That you lack the speed and your opponent goes first and then knocks you out. So there's that. I would keep. I have all of them, max level. They're just there if I ever need them. Also good for Clash Battle just because it increases your tech by so much. Make sure you have a team. If you have a team that does tech damage, make sure you have him. If you have a mixed power and tech, these Digimons tend to lose a little bit of value, only because only half of them are going to probably be pumped up. So there's that to consider. Now we're gonna go to Tenacious. Mamemon is one of the best ultimates you can have. Super good for Underworld Dungeon and Abyss, and yeah, it's pretty good. It increases your defenses, which is great. It has really high defenses, which is really good. It increases your block rate by 30%, which is decent for non-PvP. Actually, all the times I've ever used him for PvP with like decent plugins, he survives pretty well. He's not that bad. He nullifies error, which is okay, but Mamemon's pretty cool. He's one of my favorites overall. Like he just does really well. Make sure you have one maxed out. Definitely will help you out. The next one, this one is like Grand Koagamon, but it's ultimate form, and it does the same thing, but just to Tenacious Digimon. It pumps them up by 20%, which is great. As you guys, by now in this video, you guys see, that's the biggest trend. The best Digimons are the ones that are going to have something that boosts a stat, either defense, attack, HP. I didn't show any HP here, but some of the Digimons from events do that. And those Digimons kind of help you either survive or push to do a little bit more damage. If not, they're a Digimon like Mamemon or War Seadramon that power up tech. Mamemon does defense. So that is the trend with that. I like to point out this one, Pixelmon. I don't have mine maxed out, but I kept one just in hand. I just like that it nullifies skill lock, which could come in handy because in the underworld, it's kind of one of the most annoying things to deal with. But that's there if you guys are considering that. Most of the times you won't have to deal with it, or it won't be so bad. But that's an option if you guys just find skill lock so annoying. The next one, just two more. This one is like a Grand Koagamon. So Grand Koagamon's like this is its ultimate form, but if you combine it with this guy, it basically does the same thing. Shout. It's meant to counter, I guess, but it increases own defense by 40%. I went against one of these in Tenacious Week, and it did pretty well. It tanked. However, this is not so good now that Imperialmon Paladin modes come out, so maybe it's not one thing you want to use for PvP. It might be something you want to use for either Clash Battle or what's the name, Underworld. So there's that. I just went against one that was super tanky, so I feel like it might work that way. The next one, this one's not a big deal. It increases your Tenacious Digimon's power by 20%. I know this ability is usually good in other types. I'm not so sure about Tenacious, but he's there. It's an option to increase power. I feel like you're better off like super tanking and healing. Like that's what Tenacious is about. And if you have like a super tanky team for the Underworld, you're able to kind of like just tank everything. And then by the time you use your abilities, like your partner could keep using the special move all the time. So that's kind of my strategy in the Underworld. I have like a really tanky Tenacious team. And I just let they activate the special often. So that's how I do it. And that's pretty much it. These are all the ones I think are worth it. Some of the ones that I mentioned here, so there's a few you probably could tell. I was kind of like, like they're not so good. But definitely these are like the ones I think are really good. I'll just name them real fast, real quick. Aerial Devimon, this one, Skull Marimon because it does that. Um, Metal Greymon, Data Datamon, Myotismon, the calm one, Wisemon, definitely good. Gardramon, Ground Dramon, Lady Devimon, Lilamon, Warocedramon, Mamemon, uh, Okuamon, and maybe Zudomon. I think those are the main ones. Alright, guys. Sorry, I forgot to mention about healers. Um, the best healers are I've seen a lot of people use Metal Edamon, um, Mazemon. This one's not very good. So the best ones are Edamon. I've seen people use Mazemon. Let's just open a couple healers. Alright. So Meta Edamon, I've seen a lot of people use it. It helps with paralysis, so it could come in handy, and it also gives you a chance to paralysis them, so that's pretty good. For enemies, that could potentially help you clear statuses or heal. Um, I mean, clear evasion. I mean, and this seems to be one of the favorite of people. I've also seen people use Mazemon. It increases block. I think. Hopefully, this is correct. Calm and devoted. That would be pretty good. I'll double check that. Double check that in your own game too. But it's 65% to 4 allies, which is pretty decent. The next one is Talmon. This one helps with stun. Maybe you want to have one of each just for any scenario. For example, if you doing the underworld, if you have one of each healer, they potentially help you deal with it. So that's a strategy. Instead of having its own type in the passive, you can have this. This one skill locks all enemies. That's pretty good. This one also has a block HP, which I think is really good for like maybe Clash Battle, maybe Underworld. So there's that. But the best one in my opinion, because he has his plugins, is Magnadramon. It reloads really fast. It has 80% to 2 allies. It gives 50% chance to skill lock 3, increases your block rate. This is one of my favorites. I actually have 2 copies, both maxed out. I use them from Underworld. I think they're excellent for Underworld. Definitely at least have one maxed out copy, guys. Him, and then if you want any other healer, it's up to you. It's not a bad idea. It's something you could consider if you guys are lacking in your box. Status protection. Depends on what you guys have. And the last one, this one's like not good. Don't level this one up. It's not that great. Increases defense, but it's only one target, so it's not gonna be that great. By the time you heal one, another one's dead. Always make sure you farm those free Digimons. You never know when they can push the meta or kind of like push your team to be more aggressive or more defensive. Free Digimon are always the best. Just really grindy. Hope you guys found this video helpful. Remember, don't you ever use stones. You guys will eventually have these maxed out. With luck, soon. Remember to subscribe, like the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.